Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're your hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every weekday, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can find all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues affecting you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Welcome to the May 21st, 2025 meeting of the Police and Fire Commission. We now call this meeting to order. The next item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The next item on the agenda, item 3, welcome Commissioner Jim Willard. Actually, welcome back.
Yes, and I'm glad to be back. I think it's an honor to be on the PFC. The work is hard. You know, we're the ones who hire, fire, and promote. And so it all starts with us, with the initial hiring of the officer who gets promoted and who gets hired as chief. So I'm glad to be a part of that process.
Great, thank you. Glad to have you back. Next item on the agenda, number 4, approval of minutes. So I will accept a motion for the approval of the April 16th, 2025 Police and Fire Commission minutes.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any questions? All in favor of approving the minutes? Any nays?
I abstained. I was not here for the last meeting.
All right, ayes have it. The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda, item 5, public appearances for non-agenda items. Have anyone from the public who'd like to speak? Okay, seeing none. The next item on the agenda, item 6, election of president and vice president.
So historically, someone will just kind of put out a recommendation and then you can take a vote. So if you have someone in mind, that is up to the commission.
Yeah. So nominations are now open for president.
I would like to nominate Brian Russell for president.
Second.
Any other nominations?
Not for president.
Hearing none, let's have a vote by show of hands for Commissioner Russell as president. All right. Any nominations for vice president?
I nominate Sean, I can't think of his last name. Baxter, that's it. Sean Baxter for vice president.
Second.
I second that.
Okay, so by show of hands. All right, the hands have it. So Commissioner Russell will be president for the next term, and Commissioner Baxter will be vice president for the next term. All right. I guess we get a little round of applause for that. For the next officers. So since I'm president, I'm going to continue in the role since I was acting president at the beginning of this meeting, and now officially the president. I will continue in the role of chair. Next item on the agenda is item 7, complaints by Reginald Mims. 7A, conduct an adjourned initial hearing in the matter of Reginald J. Mims versus Sergeant Ryan Michaels, including consideration of respondent's motion to dismiss. So this is the adjourned initial hearing in the matter of complainant Reginald Mims versus Sergeant Ryan Michaels. I am Commissioner Russell, the president of the PFC. The other members of the commission who are present are Commissioners Banks, Ibarra, and Wheeler. The PFC's legal counsel, Jenna Rousseau, is also present and appears virtually. We're taking minutes of these proceedings. We conduct this initial hearing pursuant to the rules of the board and Wisconsin Statute 62.13. Would you state the appearances, please, starting with the complainant?
And then Jenna, the complainant isn't here, so how would you like us to proceed?
Yes,
The respondent, through Attorney Harrell, previously filed a motion to dismiss the complaint with prejudice. Attorney Harrell, what are the grounds for your motion to dismiss?
Thank you, President. To be clear, we did not file the motion with prejudice. Just understanding that in fairness, I suppose I could have, but I don't think any PFC would grant it that way. So in fairness, the grounds for the motion are that Mr. Mims should identify the specific policy or procedure that he alleges Sergeant Michaels violated. Without that knowledge, we're sort of left guessing. And for purposes of due process afforded to Sergeant Michaels, he should have a right to know specifically what he is alleged to have violated. That's not included anywhere in Mr. Mims' complaint. Instead, he broadly alleges there was a violation of department policies and that Sergeant Michaels' conduct went against the mission of the police department. So I would ask that he amend his complaint to include the specific rule or policy that was violated, as well as to include a requested remedy. And I think that's important so that Mr. Mims knows what the PFC has authority to do. If he's seeking, for example, monetary damages, that's not something the PFC can do. So I think he should identify what he's asking you to do or what he'll be arguing. Again, that also informs the defense in the case. If he's, for example, seeking termination against Sergeant Michaels, then it's going to be necessary for us to go in depth into Sergeant Michaels' disciplinary history within the department. If he's not seeking that, we don't have to go so heavy on that. So it just helps us to prepare the case more adequately.
Thank you. We will reserve a decision on the motion until we deliberate in closed session regarding this matter and the next complainant matter. At this time, I will call the adjourned initial hearing in the matter of Reginald Mims versus Sergeant Logan Brown and Officers Devon Hamburg, Matthew Lukey, Ramon Christian, Claudio Dominguez, and Jonathan Vang. The PFC's legal counsel, Jenna Rousseau, is also present and appears virtually. We're taking minutes of these proceedings. We'll conduct the initial hearing pursuant to the rules of the board and Wisconsin Statute 62.13. Would you state the appearances, please, starting with the complainant? The respondent, through Attorney Harrell, previously filed a motion to dismiss this complaint with prejudice. Attorney Harrell, what are the grounds for your motion to dismiss?
Thank you, President Russell. There's one additional ground in this motion that was not included in the motion related to Sergeant Michaels, and this one's really important, I think. It's that in this case, Mr. Mims is alleging that his rights were violated by 5 officers. It is completely unclear what facts he's alleging as against each officer. So we don't have, the complaint really doesn't have any facts in it. So he needs to include that. He needs to be specific as to which officer he is alleging did which action. In addition, he's, again, broadly alleged that that department policies have been violated without identifying those policies. Again, I think it's imperative that as to each officer, he identify which specific policy he alleges that officer to have violated. And furthermore, that he allege or let us know what discipline he's requesting with respect to each officer. It may be different as to one officer compared to another. So I think, again, due process requires that these officers be put on notice of what they've alleged to have done wrong. That helps them prepare for their case and allows them adequate time to do so. So I think it's imperative, if this complaint's going to move forward, that he include more detail, the remedy, as well as the alleged rule that he alleges was violated.
Thank you. We will reserve a decision on the motion until we deliberate in closed session regarding both complaint matters. The commission may convene into closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statute 19.85, subsection 1, subsection A, deliberating concerning a case which was the subject of a quasi-judicial hearing before the governmental body in Wisconsin statute 19.85, subsection 1, subsection C, concerning employment, promotion, compensation, performance, evaluation, data of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, specifically to conduct deliberations regarding motions to dismiss filed by the respondents in the citizen complaint matters brought by Reginald J. Mims. Commissioners, is there a motion to convene in closed session?
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I'll read the.
Okay, we're back in open session. Are there any action items coming out of closed session that we need to take?
Yes. For the matter of Reginald J. Mims versus Sergeant Ryan Michaels, motion to dismiss without prejudice. Complainant shall be permitted to refile. We also require PFC legal counsel to follow up with the complainant to discuss what is required for purpose of refiling. Should I?
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so I have a question, please. Seems like I missed a lot of the hearing because I couldn't log on. I don't know what was going on, but I was trying to log on ever since 4:30, and I was having serious problems. I got sent the link that was the improper link to get on through Zoom, and so I don't know anything that happened. So has I hear about a refiling? Has the case been dismissed? Hello?
I believe there's a motion pending.
Yeah, we're trying to finish the motion, and that motion is to dismiss with the opportunity for you to refile if you so choose.
Okay, well, so and the grounds for dismissal, I don't feel it's a valid enough reason. Well, but you guys haven't made your mind up as far as judgment neither, as far as this is going to get dismissed or not yet, have you?
We
Still
have.
in the process of doing that?
Is this protocol?
Can the attorney speak to this, to explain what that means to dismiss with prejudice, and that the complainant will be permitted to refile, but also the legal counsel is going to follow up with you to discuss what's required for the purpose of refiling. So a decision on the case hasn't been totally made. It's, I'll let the attorney finish that as best.
Yes,
Okay.
there's a motion on the table. There's not been a vote yet, but assuming the motion passes, the motion is to grant, a motion to dismiss, and it does not go to the heart of the allegations or the merits of the allegations. The motion to dismiss is based upon the complaint lacking factual information and lacking the procedural, or excuse me, the standard or policy that's been violated. The motion on the table also directs me to follow up with the complainant to further discuss that and what would be required to refile. The complainant is not prohibited from refiling. Indeed, the motion specifically allows the complainant to refile if those factual details and procedural or policy or ordinance violations are specified. So that is the nature of the motion that is currently on the table.
Okay. Okay. I just have a quick question. Because for one, I want to declare that I heavily object to the case getting dismissed and have to be refiled. What I think would be better if I wasn't clear enough on what I stated in the original complaints. What I would like to do is adjust those complaints so that they can be more clear. Because what I wanted to, because like I say, this is this type of event that I was involved in. It's like what I'm having to deal with is like you guys couldn't even imagine. You know, it's like I don't want to keep on having to deal with this. I want to get the ball rolling on it. You know, I did what I had to do with getting the complaint filed and everything, but you got to understand, I've never been in a situation like this before, and where I had to file a complaint against police officers who violated me on so many levels. This one was new to me. My apologies for not being clear, but what I would like to do is I would like to adjust and be more clear with the complaints in which I already filed, and take it from there. But I definitely don't agree with, I object to having to refile again with prejudice or without prejudice. That's something that's a road I would like to go down, because, and then in my eyes, with the first motion, from the first motion, that there were two motions filed so far, and after I look at things, I think those motions were strictly to like prolong the court process and court proceedings. You know, considering when the first one was filed a day before the actual hearing, you know, and it took precedent over the hearing, and we never had the evidentiary hearing, which was scheduled because of this motion that was filed, you know, and that motion got denied, and then they filed another motion right afterwards. I think these are all, I think it should be considered that these are all tactics to delay the process, considering the seriousness of the things that are going on. These are very serious accusations that I'm making against these officers in this department. I would like to proceed with the current complaint, and if I got to adjust it and be more clear, that wouldn't take much time at all. But the ball is rolling, and I would like to continue with the ball rolling. That's what I'm asking the administration on this evening.
Thank you, Mr. Mims. We've heard your request. The motion on the table is to dismiss without prejudice. And so we need to put that to a vote. And so I will ask the commissioners, if you are in favor of this motion that's currently on the table, respond by saying aye.
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 Aye. Any nays? Okay, so the motion passes. The first complaint is we've determined that we will dismiss without prejudice. The next motion, action on the table.
Yes. For the matter of Sergeant Logan Brown, Officer Hamburg, Officer Lukey, Officer Dominguez, and Officer Vang. I'm sorry, let me repeat that again. For the matter of Reginald J. Mims versus Sergeant Logan, Officer Hamburg, Officer Lukey, Officer Dominguez, and Officer Vang. Motion to dismiss without prejudice. Complainant shall be permitted to refile. We request PFC legal counsel to follow up with complainant to discuss what is required for purpose of refiling.
Is there a second?
A second.
Questions? Hearing none. Commissioners, what's your vote? If you vote in favor of this motion, say aye. Aye. Any nays? The ayes have it. The motion passes. This complaint also, as we've determined, will be dismissed without prejudice. Okay, moving on to the next order of business on the agenda. Number 8, report from the police department. 8A, staffing report.
So you can see here this is a slight update here. One of the 2 officers on field training has moved into solo patrol, so as a slight update, we have 5 unfilled positions now, and our newest hire, who was just pinned the other night during our recognition ceremony, has started her field training. So we have 1 in field training and 5 unfilled positions with 4 vacancies. Rolling through the monthly update, there was not a whole lot of change in our call for service activity compared to last month. Not seeing any significant trends. We did have a significant incident in early April. An individual got into a dispute during or after a soccer match, brought in a handgun and pistol whipped an individual, causing significant injury, and then pointed the weapon at the other people in attendance there. He was tracked down in Texas and taken into custody down there. Again, kind of a number of OWI investigations with some significance to them. No shots fired incidents last month. And we continue to focus on traffic enforcement. Questions?
I have a question. On Lacey Road, and this is not according to your report, between, is it Hager? I don't know.
Hay Farm.
Yeah, Hay Farm and the expressway, there's a light that's there that says, here's your speed, but there's no speed limit sign. What is the speed limit right there?
Oh, you're gonna put me on the spot.
You can say, I'll have somebody contact me.
I think if you're referring to the spot as you're getting closer to Highway 14, is that what you're talking about? I think you're in a 35 zone there.
Okay, it's a light
30
flash
or
to
35,
say this
yeah.
is your speed. But I look every day, almost every time I go there, I can't find a speed limit sign before that.
Yeah, we've had a number of concerns related to that intersection, and a lot of that has to do with the closure of Sain Road and McCoy Road. That intersection there at Highway 14 and Lacey Road is actually under the state Department of Transportation design and jurisdiction, so we've been working with them, but we're trying to slow traffic down right around there.
Because it says you are going this speed, and I'm like, is it good? Is it bad? Usually you think if it shows up, it's
We haven't come knocking on your door, right? I mean,
Right,
not tracking you down.
right, I haven't, knock on wood.
So how fast were you going?
Yeah, I don't know. Is it gonna
32, 37, around 32, 37. Seriously, I'm not particularly a speeder. I have only 2 traffic tickets my whole driving history. But yeah, I just want to know the speed limit.
Any other questions? I just want to say again, I think I said this in our last meeting last month, but seeing the OWIs, seeing the uptick in terms of traffic stops and so forth, and the OWIs is, for me, sends a positive message that we're doing a great job of really just managing our roads and trying to get people off those roads.
Yeah. No, I give credit to our patrol team. They've been doing a great job prioritizing traffic enforcement when they can, on top of already busy call for service volume, but being responsive to citizen concerns and recognizing areas where we've had issues, and then also where we have road closures, monitoring those places and making sure that everyone that's out there can be as safe as possible.
I will say the presence is, especially on Fitchburg, is very noticeable.
Yes.
I see lights very often.
So according to Google Maps, it says 35 when you come off the roundabout, you're heading north on Lacey Road. Yeah.
Quick question, I didn't see it on your report. Tell me if you do it or not, but do you document how many times you go for like priority calls or when you have to call them mutual aid?
Mutual aid is documented. We don't have a dedicated priority call for service status like this, like other jurisdictions do. It's something that we're looking at to indicate, we're unable to take other calls or have to go to mutual aid, but we do keep track of incidents. For example, when we had the homicide earlier this month, we have to rely on our partners to come in and take other calls for service.
But you don't put it on the report?
No.
You think it'd be a good idea too?
Certainly.
I mean, just a suggestion. You don't have to.
If no other questions, I will move us into closed session. Pursuant to section 19.85, subsection 1, subsection C, Wisconsin statute, the commission will move into closed session for the purpose of considering employment, promotion, compensation, or performance evaluation of any public employee over which the governmental body has jurisdiction or exercises responsibility, more specifically to remove the probationary status of 2 police officers.
Second.
It's been properly second.
I'm going into closed session.
Okay, we're back in open session. Any actions to take from closed session?
I make a motion that Officer Norman and Officer Kohler be placed on permanent status with Fitchburg Police Department.
A second.
Any questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any nays? Motion carries. All right, we're going to move to the next order of business, number 9 on the agenda, report from the fire department.
Good evening and welcome Commissioner Wheeler.
Thank you.
My report is going to be very quick as we didn't really see any changes in our staffing. I will quickly go over our calls. We did see a decrease in our call numbers last month. It happens every once in a while. We can't really explain why it decreases, just that everybody's staying safer, I guess, so to say. So we did see that 9% reduction in our call volume. We break it down there into our EMS assist still alarms, which are like general fire alarms, and single engine type of responses or single unit type of responses, or motor vehicle accidents, and then structure fires. These 3 structure fires are not the 2 that we responded to over in the Terra Bessa and then on Richardson Street. Those will be reported on next month because they happened in the current month that we're in right now. So, but if you have any questions on that, we can definitely talk about them at any We have been very busy on completing our routine fire inspections and then also re-inspections, which we are getting a number of re-inspections completed. It's right now the city clerk's office is going through alcohol licensing, and so if we have any type of business that is not complying with completing or resolving violations, then we get to be part of that process and holding up any type of liquor license or that. So becomes effective in that way. Moving on to the staffing report, we still currently have a head count of 19 with our career staff, 31 with our part-time staff, which we're still at the number 50. A couple personnel notes to share. We do have two of our interns, one of our full-time firefighters that just graduated from Madison College through the Fire Protection Technician Degree Program. That full-time firefighter was a member of the two interns that just graduated. So it was just that was Tori Milky that was hired here last year into full-time status. So him, Kaylin Burgum, and Alex Shaw all graduated from Madison College last Friday. So congratulations to them. With that, Firefighter Burgum and Firefighter Shaw has requested to be reclassed to POX. There's really nothing that you have to take any action on there. They're valuable members of the department and they've asked to stay on, so they will be moving from intern to POX firefighter starting on Monday. And then our new interns start June 16th, and we're excited about that. 3 new interns, so we'll be back up to 6 interns on June 16th. No recruitments, nobody coming off probation this month. And then moving down to our overtime numbers, we are down just a little in April compared to March, but March is always, like I said, spring break month, so that's why you see an increase in the number usually in March. Next month we will show what our overtime numbers were last year compared to this year, just to give you a little bit more perspective on what our overtime numbers are from the year prior. The good thing about our overtime is that we've only really had to mandate, 3 times total this year, where last year we had mandated quite a bit at this point in the year. So we really haven't had to force anybody to come in to work on a mandate. And then we just break it down what that mandate, that it was at Firehouse 2, and it was a driver position for 24 hours. One other thing that I'd like to share is our response, average response time for the month. We have seen a reduction. So last month we were just over 6 minutes. A lot of that, like I said, comes into play when we're responding down to Oak Hill quite a bit. That like I said, every month, that on average is 10 to 12 minutes response. So that increases our response numbers. Have been going down there as much, so we're seeing a 5.5 minute, which is, we'd like to see it getting closer to 5 minutes, right? So we like to report that we're moving in the right direction when it comes to our average response times. And then for those 3 structure fires that we responded to, 2 of them were mutual aid responses. One out into the town of Cross Plains for a barn fire back on April 2nd. Mutual aid response for a building fire in the city of Verona on April 18th. And then we had it come in as a building fire over on Thurston Lane, right across from the Dade County Head Start building. By the time we got there, the fire was out, but it was reported as a building fire. So what had happened was the apartment, it was an apartment, their power was turned off by MG&E. Power got turned back on and something was left on the stove and the one burner was left on. So the residents actually had come back in and found the apartment full of smoke, but what was on the stove, it was heavy enough that it didn't open combust, actually smoldered more than it actually, so it was on fire, it just smoldered, and then it just dropped down alongside the stove and a small freezer, and essentially went out on its own, so they got pretty lucky there. But once again, we had an issue with not operating smoke alarms, so we had to make sure that they had an operating smoke alarm before we left. So we that's always something that we double check on any response when we get out to any residence, is make sure that they have functioning smoke alarms.
Is it an issue of the resident not maybe changing the batteries, or is it the landlord not keeping up with the maintenance of it?
So landlord is responsible for making sure that the smoke alarms are in there. Once the resident moves in, it's the resident's responsibility to make sure that they stay maintained and that they're testing them. Now, if something happens, the resident is then to reach out to the landlord or to the management company, and then they're supposed to assist in making sure that it's operational. But the resident is ultimately, while they're in their space, responsible for making sure that that is working. And then if they need it replaced, then they contact the landlord or maintenance or management.
Is there any education that goes along with that, like open houses and everything else like that?
Yep, so we have our annual open house during Fire Prevention Week in October. We've had it on FACTv, where we come up here on a monthly basis. Chief Malekish comes up and meets with Jeremy and staff, and provides fire safety tips and education on FACT. And then there are other programs where we have in the past it's essentially, it was a grant program where from KIDA we did receive a number of smoke alarms, and then as we were going around the neighborhoods, we were providing smoke alarms, and then also assisting with making sure they're installed properly. But we do get a lot of phone calls from our senior residents in the city where they'll ask, I just don't know. For one thing, my smoke alarm keeps beeping. A lot of times it's a battery issue. So we go over there, they invite us into the house, and then we essentially do a fire safety inspection with them, and then help them out with their smoke alarms if needed. But we also then talk about carbon monoxide detectors and such, so those are equally important. So.
Chief, the mutual aid response time, are those times included in your overall average?
If we did, that number would have been much bigger, as far as response time average. We're just focusing on Fitchburg proper.
Okay. That's what I assumed.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions? That's all I have.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, next on the agenda is item number 10, announcements. Any announcements? No announcements?
I guess the one thing I would like to share is Chief Sarva will be starting May 30th, so next Friday, and we're excited to have him coming in.
Absolutely.
So, thank you.
All right, last on the agenda, item 11 is adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
I second.
All right, it's been properly second. That's right.
Aye.